You know, I
So
used
we're
to
just
I used to like live by the aim trainer, but nowadays I've just realized that like anything I want to get good at, you actually need to spend time in game.
has to go do it.
It's pretty unfortunate too, because I felt like when you play the aim trainer for the first time around, like you feel like what you're working towards is going to be like a lot more in game, like when you go back to the original game, but it just doesn't transfer over well. So I understand what people are
Yeah.
saying when they're like, "Hey, play the actual game instead of playing the trainer." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Nah, people will compare it to the gym, but it's more like I'll use football for example. It's like doing like specifically plyometrics. Like yeah, it'll help your explosiveness like a little bit. Like, but you're not gonna feel like a significant difference in like your strength like in a real football game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's just I don't know. It's not like I don't know. If you like never lifted and then you like started lifting and you play like running back and you start trucking motherfuckers over, like yeah, it's gonna like feel significant. But I don't even think it's at least that wasn't my experience where it felt like that crazy. Anyway.
As I got better in the trainer, it took longer and longer for me to see benefits in game, was
Mhm.
what I noticed. Like, when I first started, I was like below the minimum rank in Sparky, so I saw improvements right away because I was working with, I don't know if you know Blue Whale, the old school air player.
Oh yeah.
Mm. I've heard
Yeah,
about them. I didn't hear great things about them though.
they were toxic, but they helped me get my smoothness to like a good enough level where I was seeing benefits in game right away. So, but then as I improved and got better and better, it took longer and longer for me to actually see benefits in game.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never seen benefits off playing like certain air scenarios and whatnot. It's like until I started like actually improving my like raw mouse control and stuff like clean control, spear and whatnot. I actually seen more benefits in game because I was able to execute a lot more. I guess movements you don't normally make with your mouse in a way, and that type of control really helped me. So I've always been after a while I kind of stopped playing like dynamic clicking, reactivity and whatnot. I just more so practiced like smoothness, anything that actually just helped my like control. And anytime I hop in the trainer to unwash, it's mostly just playing anything that has to do with control.
Yeah, I noticed like precision especially helped me a lot with Soldier and Overwatch. I thought reactive would help me more at first, but honestly just like control and precision was the most beneficial thing.
Hmm.
Just improving my raw ability to stay on target. Like reactive obviously helps with not being pig low, but it's just not as important as what I came to notice.
The only reason why I'm even still playing changes now is I'm trying to discover new trends. Everything is you don't play one thing to get better at another. It's more or less to see how you react to moving a slider. So if I want to play higher sense, if I want to go to this debate, higher sense, it forces me to have higher utilization of my fingers, wrists, and
Mm-hmm.
playing lower sense, higher utilization of my arm. And I
You just,
wanted to see
Mhm.
how that would affect some other like core skills, like speed matching, acceleration matching, something I'm
Yeah.
still trying to make discoveries with. Something I still make discoveries with now more than ever. Oh Lord, it's purple.
What's purple?
Oh Lord, it's purple. In
Sorry.
the stream chat.
I'm just making sure I get my phone up so I can actually read chat. Yeah, no, I think my biggest mistake was that I was playing reactivity back in the day and I was just brute forcing it just to get better scores. Like, I wasn't playing it with the intentions of getting better. I was just playing with the intentions of just getting, like, so many reps in of it. I think once I started being more critical of myself while I started playing, I started making, like, more improvements than I would, like, just VOD reviewing myself or looking things over. Like I tried realizing like what patterns I struggled with to execute, and then I tried thinking of different like scenarios that could benefit it and whatnot. And once I started practicing all of those, like I call them, as it's essentially just like working on the components of like, you know, what you struggle with. Like once I started doing that, I seen the most improvement. And I also realized that like after a while, reactivity just came down to like how well can I switch my tensions in the moment, than it is just purely just going off my like actual like reactions. So once I've started taking like a step back and relaxing myself for reactivity, I've seen probably the most improvement I ever have. I think that's when I started jumping around like BT Nova scores and whatnot around that time. Also, I just gotta plug my headset in 1 second.
The funny thing about reactive is that it's all proactive at the high level. You're never really reacting to anything.
Alright, I can hear again. What's up?
So
Reactivity isn't reactive at the high level, it's all proactive. And that's the thing that kind of shocks people the most. All of this is pretty like proactive to like reduce the amount of decision making you have to do, the amount of movements you have to do. All of it's like pre-planning.
I was gonna ask,
Prediction.
like, do you mean like prediction? Yeah, that's exactly what you meant. Yeah. No,
And
that
then,
was
like-
one. Sorry.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, just kind of piggybacking what Buck was saying, like, that was one thing I noticed with like playing like higher stats, especially on things like static. Like I was playing like 15, 20 CM, just like really forces you to like play perfect. In a way where it's like, oh, since you have like like significantly less margin of error. So, I
So
don't know.
basically, it gives you, it highlights your mistakes more than
Yeah.
instead of hiding it.
Yeah. Instead of playing like 90 CM on welfare targets, and I'm like, oh, nice, I got the score.
This is also something I wrote about too with the mouse Excel. I was talking to Viscose like earlier last year, up to this year.
Mm-hmm.
Excel or mouse Excel is such a great tool for learning how to be proactive.
So,
What's up, gang?
What's up? We're just talking about shit. Recording
Right.
it. We're gonna get problematic later, but right now we kind of want to sort of stay on topic.
My bad.
No worries. Stay a while. You might add something to the conversation.
You just joining the call to get problematic with him?
No.
Well, you might be.
I want to get
Not yet.
problematic.
I do. It's not yet.
I'm pregnant.
Pregnant.
The only kind of problematic I want to be right now is making it help for purple. The hopping cord. I don't want to hear his opinions. I'm not taking the opinion of a minor seriously.
I mean, this is the most nicest way. I don't think I can add perplex into the call.
How
Just,
old is Herb?
17.
No way.
Really? Wait,
No
really?
Yeah.
way. That guy's like pushing
thought he was
13,
14.
bro. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest,
like,
bro.
The guy is mentally 13.
Like, yeah.
He might be a little retarded.
Hey, but I will say, nah. Even though I did say that about Perp, I can respect Perp for like speaking what's on his mind. Like, you know, he doesn't give a fuck.
Having no filter.
Yeah.
That could be problematic in the workforce. Unless you're your own boss.
Yeah.
I might be the one that got him.
Like, dude, I remember one time, I said, no, I remember one time, I forgot what the context of it was, but Perp was like, Roundtree, you always sound like you're drunk. And I just thought that shit was hilarious, bro.
You're not wrong.
You're fucked, bro.
You know, now that
can see-
he
I can hear
mentioned
it, I
it,
can hear it,
I
I
can
can
definitely
see
see it now.
I will say, just to hop back to the aim stuff really quick. Thinking about it, the most improvement I've seen has been from stuff that's like not necessarily super hard to read, like extra control sphere, PGTI, but
Mhm.
like just hard to aim at. That's where I've definitely seen the most improvement, where it's just like a raw test of mouse control.
Like
So-
Ross Business? Or what do you mean exactly?
I mean, like, it's not hard to tell which direction extra control sphere is going, right? Like, it's not reactive,
Right.
but it's hard to get onto target. That's the type of stuff that
Oh, I see. I see. I
had
see.
the most improvement out of. Like, I know, like I mentioned Blue Whale earlier, he's talked to me about how he saw a lot of improvement out of air nuns, but I mean, at a certain point, it's just like, you know the pattern. It's pattern learning. So I
It's
wonder
pattern
if,
learning. It's RNG.
Yeah.
And on air nuns, I can't fucking stand people that like move in the scenario.
like, move back for bot 3 and 7.
Yep. Or just strafe aim for it.
Yeah.
But that's a low honor thing, man.
I feel
Whoever
like
gets
Doesn't,
to
like-
get away with it because he's Clover.
I was gonna say, doesn't like every high-ranking air player do that on every sun?
Every son that they can, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like
But just
air
because you
nuns.
can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Like I did all of this without moving. Held it for that long. And once everybody started like strafe aiming, it kind of took like the fun out of it.
Yeah.
well, at that point, it's just purely pushing scores. I feel like
Yep.
there's a certain point where it comes down it comes down to the point where you aren't necessarily pushing yourself anymore to improve, but you're just pushing yourself to hit a score at that point. Like I feel
Yeah,
like right
threshold.
now in my current state, it's like the only thing I really realistically need to do to unwash and to like kind of start improving again is just play a bunch of like raw control scenarios, maybe unwash my smoothness a bit, and then from there, I should be pretty set. But I feel like right now it's just I'm in a point where it's just I can only push scores. Like I don't even know if I can play an aim trainer anymore to get better unless it's like for my weaknesses. You know what I mean? It's like I'm playing
Yeah.
tracking for the fact that I just love tracking. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
kind of really sucks
You
in a
only-
way.
You only really do it to like relearn fundamentals. Break down aiming as an action down to its basic blocks and then rebuilding it in the configuration that you want later. Everything I fucking talked about when I first released a guide was literally a breakdown of how to aim in general and not really and how to like rebuild that to use in reactivity. Tension management, arm utilization, crosshair placement, and reading. Those are like the 4 blocks that you use to build any sort of aim discipline, if you want to call it that, or if you want to categorize it like that. There's also a bunch of like comparisons and is it metaphors on how math kind of works into aim as well. Static is just reactive, but in a certain at one impulse. Tracking is just static over a continuous amount of time, and graphing it, kind of like integrating things.
You mean how everything's, like, connected at a base
Everything
level?
is basically connected. Everything is just a reconfiguration of each other.
Yeah.
All of it sort of ties together. And I'm kind of surprised that people didn't really make the connection with like especially the tech geeks in the community with like response times and all that, because I took a class on digital signal processing and control systems, and I didn't learn shit from it, at least with like my job right now. Just frequency response formulas and what do you call it? Overshoot, undershoot, response times. It works for electronics, but it also works for your brain too, in a way.
It's actually really interesting.
Like you would what is it? If I can pull up the document, these thoughts. Ah, there we go. with like tension management, depending on how much you tense, you can over. What is it? Let me find it here. Too much tension, you're more prone to overshooting, and your actual response time suffers from it. Your response time to get to the target is greatly increased, but the amount of accuracy you have, like going forward, you'll just be at that certain point in accuracy and then be way off, and they'll just tick back again, and then back again. But for the most part, you're just off target. If you don't use a lot of tension, I guess by the time you get to a certain target, it might be easy. You have higher accuracy throughout the entire lifespan of the bot, if it's assuming it's moving in the same direction. But getting to the target first is going to be very slow, and depending on some targets, that's a no-go. It's not really viable because they're rapidly changing directions, and you're gonna miss entirely. So you want to find that balance of how much overshoot you want and how fast you want to get to the bot. That's the same thing with like monitor technology and ghosting. Like, you can always crank up the response time of the monitor by going to your settings, going to let me find it here. The response times, you can set all the way to extreme, but you have so much overshoot that it starts ghosting. So it's really hard to read. That sort of thing.
I think one of the biggest things, Buck, that you taught me was like learning to harness my tension to actually make me aim better, rather than just trying not to be tense at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much people know about that in the community, but like that was at the time one of the biggest things that changed how I aim.
I think it sort of went under the radar for everybody. Like, that's something I noticed back when I was starting to get up there in skill. It's kind of like how Maddie uses his cable as extra control. In a dumb way, if you want to call it that. I started to see like bad habits, not as bad habits, but as tools. Like every single thing, even a byproduct, has its place and how to utilize it. Kind of like how when there are many. This is a really weird analogy, but back in like the early 1800s or late 1800s, 1900s, they're manufacturing kerosene, but a byproduct that would come out would be gasoline. And figuring a way how to harness that, kind of accelerating growth in the industrial field. Took that same kind of mindset and applied it to aiming, if you want to call it that. And that not everything is bad, not everything is good. Everything falls onto a spectrum. You just have to find where you want to be on there. Everything's a dial you can adjust, everything's a slider that you can move up and down. Everything changes everything, but usually it changes linearly or logarithmically. And that's something you have to go figure out for yourself. Especially with sense, because people think that you just change a number up and down linearly, that it's gonna react linearly. And to a certain spectrum, it does. But at the extreme ends, it grows exponentially. And the other thing I try to teach people is that never go for extremes. There's always a balance you want to find.
Yeah, I've never heard a comparison like that before. It's quite interesting.
It was
actually.
something I wanted to write about, but I never really had the time to, at least until now.
Yeah, I don't
And
know. Sorry.
even at the time when I was writing the guide, this was in the back of my mind and something I wanted to write about. But I figured that the aim training community was kind of... It was like the worst aspects of a person you can ever be. when it comes to like attention span, literacy. So I had to cut everything like really short. So you can get the most out of it at a glance, and if you want to read more into it, then I could what is it? I could make a second edition of it, or people would come to me to coaching like Sev. Just get like a deeper understanding of these ideas.
Yeah, I came to you after I read your guide and wanted to understand more.
So,
And then I guess next to this, or sort of on top of this, seeing like all this like discussion about tension, talk, and management, all of it's still being spread at a rudimentary level. There's so many more layers to this, and it kind of pisses me off that some people haven't really made any advances, at least from what I can tell. Everything felt like a repetition of what I've already said in the community up until now. More than ever, when I saw like Maddie's control tracking video, it kind of pissed me the fuck off because we had all this time to discover new shit. Because my thoughts aren't original, but nobody wants to show that it's not original. Nobody wants to come out with like new discoveries. Everybody wants to come out with that new mouse grip or aiming technique, like fucking was it diagonal maxing? Whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, that
Like,
shit was.
That fucking pissed me off to no end. Like, dude, this is only good for this and only this. Stop trying to preach it, bro. People are trying to get better, and we're not here for the scores. We're just here for the
Yeah.
scores to stroke our own egos. And we know for damn sure that it's not going to translate well into games, because if it does, Matty OW would be top 500 Overwatch right now, or playing in a tournament, instead of being fucking washed and crying about it on Twitter about how Blizzard doesn't know how to fucking balance their game, even though I'd fucking drive by the fucking offices every single day from work.
yeah,
We lost the plot, man.
Yeah.
They're supposed to get better,
yeah, I could.
but now
I've had some people come to me asking me to explain like the diagonal maxing method, and like there's an image of it that explains it quite well, but still, it's just like I don't want anyone to realistically play in that way. It's just so like.
Yeah. I remember him saying, like, he's like, some of us play to just get better at the aim trainer. I'm like, bro, who? Even top players, like most of them, in my opinion, are like playing the game.
we do it for the love of the game.
Like playing like FPS. I don't know.
Or whatever FPS comes out, where it's gonna have a esports scene that's kind of forced off the rip by the developers, and not really like built from the ground up by a dedicated community.
I think my least favorite term that I'll hear like Kovacs people throw around is aim filters. Like, what does
I'm
that
fucking glad those exist in games, because I want to see people like Maddie get really fucking pissed about somebody pressing the ability and getting absolutely countered by raw skill.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that's just how games work. Like,
They appeal to a mass audience. They don't appeal to a niche. And if they did, there wouldn't be many players playing it.
and then the biggest thing to me is like, if there were no aim filters, like, wouldn't cheaters just run rampant? Like, wouldn't they just
Yeah.
win every single game, every single lobby? In a
Yeah.
game like Overwatch, I remember seeing those videos on YouTube where it's like an entire team works really hard together to like beat a cheater and they win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are the coolest things to me. Like, the actual macro of the game being played well. Like, I want to get better in the game, so getting better aim is a part of that, but like, I want to get better at the game. I don't want to
Yep.
just aim.
Yeah.
Aim is still at its very core just a small factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just if you come with that mindset to any FPS to this day, you're just gonna be fucking miserable. Because that's all you think about. It's just aim, 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 aim. And you don't get the enjoyment of an outplay. All you did was click somebody's head and you feel nothing from it. and
Yep.
you don't know how to play the game, that you're just chasing the same hit of dopamine that you got from that single hit over and over again until you've essentially attained perfection, but perfection is also imperfect because it's not fun. Perfection is not fun. Fun is where the imperfections are at.
Yeah, I've always found it to be the most fun when I'm like actively improving. I was talking to someone about this today. Like the fun for me is in the improvement.
The fun for me is in the outplays.
Yeah.
It feels so nice just actually like outplaying someone based off like using your intellect than your like actual raw mechanics. Like don't get me wrong, I like being that I like having enough like mechanical ability to the point where like I can make a crazy play, but like at the same time though, it's like Buck's right. It's like it feels so much better when you outplay somebody. Like more than anything, and when you style on somebody. Like for example,
And also, those plays are so low percentage when you're gonna be fucking outplaying them. Like they don't happen that often where you're like 1v5ing or whatever. Sorry, what?
And these plays are, by and large, original. You don't see a lot of these happen. There's more aim montages than I can count threads in my fucking mousepad. But like certain outplays get remembered. You'll never hear somebody talking about getting a fucking all headshot ace at this one land till the end of time. You'll remember somebody backcapping an entire team in Overwatch because they pushed out too far. What do you call that?
C9.
There you go. And I guess another thing too is in the community, I can't find anybody that's actually memorable in this day and age. Like, people don't want to be remembered. Like, everybody wants to be a clone of this, or top something and something something that you're probably gonna forget and has no relevance. And when you like say somebody's like iconic name, like Clover, aka Voltaic's #1 femboy from Iceland, that also happens to be really good at control, you'll remember that. You either #1 or #none. You're the first to do it or the best to ever do it. That's my way of thinking.
I think that's why so many like Genji players are more memorable than like any aimers. Like don't get me wrong, like I especially know like some top aimers from like Overwatch back in the day, like Defran, like Kabaji and whatnot, like the ones you see like clips all the time and like those like Overwatch crazy like highlights and stuff like that. But like
Yeah,
I
like
remember,
Kabaji versus Fran versus whatever Tracer.
yeah,
Those
exactly.
YouTube videos.
Yeah, I find it like I always liked watching the Genji like stuff more. Like I always thought the Genji stuff was absolutely crazy. It's like that's why I love watching Liar's clips on Twitter whenever he posts something crazy he hits on Genji. It's like a lot more satisfying to watch that than it is trying to watch someone just like hit like a Widow 5k. Like don't get me wrong, right? It's like the Widow 5k is impressive, but honestly seeing like the Genji like macro that some of these players can like execute, it's so much more clear than seeing like what some of the aiming players can do. Like, I remember my most fun from Overwatch came from projectile characters more than it did from, like, aiming characters. Like, I like being a hit scan main, but I feel miserable. It feels like because I play Soldier in the highest elo, right? It's like, I need to make sure my fucking mechanical skill is, like, literally, like, perfect in a way. And it literally takes the joy out of a game. Because I'm playing it in a sense where if I don't feel like I'm holding myself up to this, like, perfect mechanical level, then I'm not gonna be getting like any enjoyment out of it. Like I'm just gonna get flamed, whatever. It's like it's not fun playing like that. It's fun playing a character like Genji and taking him as far as you can go, more than like a hit scan character.
Taking
Yeah,
a joke and running with it.
like I before I played Soldier and I was like a Zen player. That was some of the most fun I've ever had in Overwatch. Like it's not a hit scan, and I love aim, but like outplaying someone on Zen is so hard, and it's just so satisfying to do it. Hitting a good volley is super satisfying, and it's like, yeah, just way more enjoyable than just out aiming someone. I feel.
And at that point, if you want perfect aim, you just play controller. That's the other thing. And there's so much more you can do. When you fucking give up on the image of perfection, even if it comes cost of reputation if you even care about that. You're gonna have so much more fun. We tend to tunnel ourselves and deluding ourselves into thinking that perfection is ultimately the goal when it's not. It's to get good enough to where we don't have to think about it consciously. That level of mastery. And from there, we can start to learn other stuff too. That will take us much further. Because with the game sense, that'll carry you all the way to your grave. But with aim, it's you might retain it well all the way until you're like 38, like fucking toxic. But you're not. But nobody's toxic. So it's better to learn how to enjoy the game outside of aim, and learn the outplays, and get your dopamine from there. Keeps the game fresh, keeps you on your toes. Always something new to discover, even when you think you've discovered everything.
Yeah,
I had
like
this talk a while with like most of the take people. Everybody loses passion for a game because they've ruined their their dopamine receptor or reception or happy chemical receptors got all fucked up because they've kind of chased everything to an end, and that doing it brings them no joy, but they don't know how to do anything else, and this is the only thing they can see.
I feel
Purple,
like
shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here.
just back to like the outplaying thing is like I feel like Tracer in Overwatch is like the perfect mix of that. Like it's the perfect mix of needing game sense to actually play the character well, and then mechanics to actually dodge well, to aim well. Like that character is super satisfying, I feel.
Everything has a niche.
yeah, you're right. It's like I feel like if you're like a really well-rounded player, she's like the perfect example to show like what someone's like mechanical ability and macro ability can like go to, like the level of it, like like side by side. Like I've always like found so much enjoyment watching really good tracers play too. Like I never was able to get the you know, like when you dash at somebody and then you slap them. I used to never be able to do that until I just recently learned it. It took me a couple of years, but it actually made me enjoy the character a lot more. And I realized that Tracer's like a lot deeper of a character too. Like more with macro too. Like your positioning and everything, like you need to take that into account, like the way that you flank and get backlines and stuff like that. Always thought she was more of those like W key characters, whatnot. Maybe take the odd flank, try killing the backline. But no, it was really interesting to play her because it gave me more of an insight onto her. But yeah, no, you were right, Steph. It's like she's a perfect character to show like all that type of mechanical stuff.
And like I have I had a lot of free time back in March, I believe it was. So I was learning Tracer, and like the notes I took on that character, I have them here in my Obsidian. It's like so complex, and it's like half mechanics, half game sense. I just feel like that character is so well designed, in for what people like us are looking for. In like the outplay, the mechanics, and the macro, like, yeah.
Sort of in line with this. Ever since I fucking I nuked my main Twitter. I took like a sabbatical and started to watch other content, also grinding Destiny. And one thing that I started to appreciate more and more was movement players in Apex. Not only to perform the tricks, but to be able to chain them so well. It felt really refreshing to watch them like go at it. Like one of my good friends, Xylus, is a moving octane in Apex, but he's starting to play more Marvel Rivals because Apex is a dying shithole of a game. A terrible developer base, monetization model, and publishing company. What made the game so well, retain people so well, was its core gameplay loop. The amount of movement you can do from neutral and not from any abilities was insane. Looking back. I'm okay with games having movement abilities, but they need to have a good movement system from neutral, where it could be accessed from any character. Any character in Apex can fucking bunny hop, super glide, lurch strafe for the most part, and then you add on top of these, you enhance these with abilities like jump pads and zip lines and all that. And there's so many ways you can chain it all together, and it makes everybody look so different and distinct that you can just see somebody's movement and say, that's so and so, or that's that guy that I see on fucking TikTok. And it's so much more like enjoyable to watch than aiming. Anybody can aim, and it all looks the same.
Yep.
I'll see the same one clip over and over because somebody will just anti-mirror strafe for the entire duration of the clip. I was like,
Holy
okay,
shit.
okay, bud. Cool, I guess. But you ain't doing anything special. Aim is so fucking boring to watch when it's done right, because all it really does is it looks like aim assist. It looks like controller. Just perfection is boring.
One thing that I really like watching is like Sestroid's aim. Sestroid's aim is super like unique. That's what I really like seeing, like the unique styles, not just like, oh, this person's super smooth, this person's super accurate. Someone like Sestroid, where they're like super shaky but like super precise as well. That's super cool to watch to me. So I get what you're saying, but like I feel like some kinds of aim are super enjoyable to watch still.
I think
I think to add on top of this, there's the other fucking. It was a pro player in Apex that was on top of the game back in 2020 or 2021, 2022. His name was Crust, and he had a really unique way of aiming because it looked like he had Parkinson's, but he was still so fucking accurate, and he had the highest kill count in Pro League at the time, which made it like really like confusing to everybody. Oh, you're supposed to be smooth if you want to have good aim because that's what controllers look like, but not really. Like, there's multiple ways to get to the end goal. There's no real correct way to aim. Outside, the only reason why we have these like certain methods and whatnot is to replicate certain results by doing it over and over again. But we can all get to the same answer with like varying methods.
Yeah, one thing I will go back on and I want to comment on is watching the, North America's best aimer play Overwatch, right? Like, I like sitting down and watching people with really good mechanical skill play the game. Again, aiming is a hobby, is a passion for me, whatever, right? But when I watch Maddie play, it's like, it feels so underwhelming because it feels like I'm not really watching anything special. It's like, I think one of the worst things for me is that I feel like I almost watch some people who don't even play the game. Like, don't play aim trainers perform better. Like, I don't know if Tree even plays aim trainers, but I watch Tree and I watch some other of these guys and like they'll play better than what I see Maddie perform in game. And it's just like, why is this? You know what I mean? But I mean, I've seen some arguments for it too. Like some people have said, well, Maddie's like the best you can play at like a raw aiming level when it comes down to playing a game like Overwatch. But I still don't see anything too crazy about it. You know what I mean? It's like the aimers. Yeah, go on.
I frankly dislike Maddie's aim style because I don't see anything unique about it. I just see it as an amalgamation of everything done right, but not special. It doesn't look distinct. It doesn't look flashy. It has no flair to it. It tastes like he's got like the chicken tenders of like aim, like super inoffensive. Everything's done right, but it's boring to watch.
It's not exciting. Like when you think of someone who's like the top aimer, like in like they're considered one of the best aimers in the world. Like you think of someone who like is flicking around super fast, like The tracking is like very pixel perfect. It's like you're looking for something to amaze you. You know what I mean? But like when you see something that like once you become like I'd say towards the intermediate to like maybe lower at advanced level, mechanically wise, it doesn't look impressive to you. Like when I thought I was gonna watch Matty play Overwatch, I thought he was gonna be like fucking like he's gonna be target switching as good as like you'd see like you know some viscose like Battlefield clips and whatnot, and like he's gonna be like snapping on. He's like reactive, kind of like Sev said, like Sestered's aim is really unique, right? So I thought he was gonna be that type of like reactivity mixed with that type of precision. But I didn't see any of that. It just looks like he's like very controlled, and it didn't really look too impressive to me. Because I think one thing Matty does do pretty unique compared to other people is how he mixes like Mad Bad Man's method with Pasu a lot, and you watch his like dynamic clicking VODs, and like he's super fast, and it's really unique seeing how he aims at dynamic scenarios. But when you watch him play Overwatch, it doesn't look like he's aiming in that unique way because he can't force pace. You know what I mean? Like he has to go down to like the fundamentals of the technique when it comes down to aiming. So it really sucks, honestly, to see that. I mean, I'm not like disappointed or anything like that. It's like he built up for that mechanical aim. Like all glory to him for doing that. But it's like I feel like for being in this aim community for as long as I haven't seen anything too impressive. It's like the only thing that like realistically has had me more hooked on anything has to be like more so like outplaying an opponent with like your macro, so like your like movement, you know what I mean? Like I think I've now started gravitating towards like watching more people in like the movement communities play, or like I'm watching them like strafe, like you know, making people miss. I think that's more interesting than watching people aim right now
Like
for
LG
me.
duels.
Yeah, like LG duels and whatnot. I think that's more interesting to me right now, currently, than watching anyone play.
Yeah, I completely get that. Like LG duels are super, super interesting to watch. Forcing your opponent to miss is like, I don't know, it's a different skill set. It's super unique. It's super cool to see.
Refreshing to see, even.
And that's it. Kind of goes back to what Buck was saying too about you know, watching movement players in Apex. It's like I like watching people make players miss. I think it's really fun. Actually, one thing I like watching too is like when I watch. Okay, I know this is gonna be like a weird comparison, but like when I watch like Mercy players and their movement and stuff like that, like the way that they like make themselves hard to miss, like they're diagonally flying up, down, like with a strafe in the air. It's like
Their evasiveness.
yeah, it's very interesting to watch that. It's very interesting to see someone pull that off because like they're having to take into their mind like, how do I make this person who's aiming at me miss? And I don't know. For someone who has played Maddie in Overwatch and stuff like that, with like I'd say maybe very basic grasp on just movement aiming, making people miss. It's like I felt very underwhelmed when he aimed at me when I was playing Soldier, like you know, mirroring him, because it's like I felt like I was like almost like outperforming him in a way. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just think
You're
that's
more of a complete player versus Maddie's top end method of aim.
yeah. I just think it's more interesting.
Your raw aim might not have been as good, but your mechanics were better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Overall, you were just a more complete player, and by and large, when you add up all these stats, you're just like significantly better.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. That stuff is just to me it's kind of crazy because it's like I don't know. I feel like the more that I go on about FPS games now, it's like I'm trying to more so learn about macro and my movement more than anything. So
Macro and plays, game sense knowledge, map knowledge.
like I like players who are the perfect mixture of everything. Like movement players who also have really good aim. It's just like it's so satisfying to watch montages like that where they're styling on somebody and they're also like putting out a really good performance as well. Like I feel like that's the perfect mixture of like what I like to watch when it comes down to things. Also, let me see who voted. Thank you. I'm gonna just call you Bunny for voting.
I like also I'm guilty of this, but like putting clips in versus just random players, like that's not as nearly as impressive as like clipping good players. Like I have this one montage that I keep going back to. It's by a friend of mine, and it's like they're clipping like real players. They're clipping like actual pro players. and
Like
it's
not
just-
piss low people.
Yeah, exactly.
People aren't getting fired.
It's just so much more satisfying to see.
I know, I love montages like that too. Wait, was that one posted recently? I think I know who you're talking about.
4 months ago is the one I'm talking about.
What's his name?
Jim.
I think that's the one
There's
that I've
a-
seen.
what is
I've
it?
seen a really impressive one, and he was just clipping like literally every top player in Overwatch. It was really impressive to see. Also, thank you for having me for following.
I wish I had the same like outlook on it, but being on the content scene with Apex for so long and seeing so many like killing streamers and reactions, I've kind of gotten desensitized to it and to a point disgusted with it. Like, oh great, you're just using somebody else for content. It's not really a show of like your skill, even though you beat somebody that is quote unquote better than you. It just feels cheap and manufactured. But maybe that's just the nature of Battle Royale and its randomness. I might feel differently if it was in like a 5v5 TAC FPS or a class shooter. But right now, as it stands, it just seems unwatchable. Because it feels like you're also piggybacking off of the reputation of somebody else.
I get that, but I like seeing good players get clipped because it's like it proves that you're good enough to be in those games. It proves that you're good enough to get clips in those games. That's the most impressive thing to me, being able to get clips in those lobbies.
Which is absolutely valid.
Thank you for the Prime sub. Also, hi Bestie, it's time for Marvel Rivals. Are you gonna hop on Marvel Rivals with me? Also, that's pretty decent. Blackouts. Just keep playing. But yeah, no. Back to what like Seb was saying though. It's like it's very interesting to watch like players playing like against teams on Overwatch that have like maybe like 4 like recognizable names on it. You know what I mean? And like they're actively hitting clips on them. Because I think that what's interesting about it too is like if you watch players like that and like their highlights and stuff like that, what they're doing is quite incredible. And to see someone clipping that like those types of players as well, it's really impressive to me at least. I remember back in the day, my perception of what skill used to be was those cherry-picked clips you'd see on montages. I thought I need to play like a montage reel, right? And actually, this kind of goes to like why I only play soldier and why like I held myself up to such high standards when I perform. It's like when I think about really good players, like it kind of goes back to like when I was talking about Maddie and stuff like that. I expect seeing someone with like close to aimbot level aim, right? So when I play soldier, if I'm not averaging like 50% like rifle act with him, and like I'm not doing constantly like impressive stuff while like in game while I play with him, I feel like if I'm like underperforming, you know what I mean? So when you play at like the highlight level, like highlight reel level, like or trying to mimic it's really you know, less rewarding. But I like watching montages where I'm watching people just outplay top players, maybe hitting a decent clip on them too. In lobbies filled with like, you know, really good players too. It's really interesting to watch. But yeah, no, I get what Sev is saying.
Oh, I'm gonna hop, guys.
Okay.
Y'all have a
Alright.
good night. Later.
Peace.
All right, peace, man.
Peace.
Down to 3. We got like 10 minutes before I get problematic, where I start burning bridges.
Burning bridges is crazy.
Man,
I'll also say, watching aim trainer VODs, it doesn't really impress me anymore, unless it's like people like Doki or Clover. And that's specifically because I know Clover right now is playing super high sense. Not super high, but like 24. And then like Doki plays high sense. That type of stuff is the most impressive to me right now.
doing
In
something
terms
that's
of
like
just watching aim trainers.
something that's quote unquote difficult for the sense.
Yeah.
Like it's anti-cheese. It's doing something impressive. It's putting another challenge on top of the actual challenge of being in first place.
Exactly.
I made a tweet on my private Twitter and I was saying the exact same thing. I was like watching, like literally watching people do like crazy things on aim trainers. Like I guess like play getting those crazy score requirements off VT benches. It doesn't impress me anymore. Like I don't care if you like are celestial requirement. If it's something that you've gotten through like 70 CM, it just doesn't really impress me. It's like watching things like, you know, Sev said, like really low sensitivity. I remember I was trying to get good at like low sensitivity back in the day, and I just couldn't. But I was performing so much more consistent on lower CM, so I was using it as a crutch when I was improving, and I got pretty decent at it. But I wish that I spent more time on, you know, lower CM, more faster sensitivity, because I feel like it probably would have made me play a lot better too in just actual games as well, and also like executing things, because it gives you that like total range of like, you know, the 360 like axis as well. Like I don't know, I love watching Clover's fucking smooth bot scores from season 3. Like that's really satisfying to watch, and it's really impressive too to see his amount of control that he has. Because I micro stutter a lot when I play like something like 20 CM, but like watching him and his aim looks angelic on it is super fucking cool.
I think the word you were looking for was oh no, I lost it to myself too. Fuck.
Bro, I'm just tired. I'm just speaking to speak, bro.
Hang on.
Yeah, like I play benchmarks on like cheese sense because that's kind of how they're designed,
Mhm.
right? But like I have a range that I play. Like right now it's like 41 to 27, and I try not to exceed that range on like when I'm actually practicing. And that type of stuff is like whenever I see a score set on like 40 cm or below, I just like instantly it's just less impressive. I don't like,
You
and
just
it's not
roll
like
your
a
eyes
purposeful
internally?
thing. Yeah, it's not like this person's bad because obviously they're not bad, right? But it's like it's just so much less impressive than seeing someone like Doki play Air Angelic get like 930, which isn't like the best score, but like on like 17 cm.
Purely using finger motions. At that.
I found really fun to play 1 CM challenges as well, and to hit like decent scores on like what people considered impressive on like benchmarks
Oh
like
my God.
master and stuff like that. I know it's stupid, but it's like it's cool because they're like you're just using your fingertips, right? And like I found so much enjoyment out of like lower CMs as well, like 10 CM. I think it's actually
Okay.
really fun to play like 10, 15 CM and going for like decently high scores, like Seth was saying, like 930 on Air Angelic. Like it's not too crazy of a score, but it's impressive, just the amount of control someone can have.
Completely off topic. There's somebody in 19th place on this leaderboard that's named Viscose Bathwater. I think they should be put into a wood chipper for that.
I can't even see my cursor. I'd love to know who it is. Is that
I have no idea who it is, but they are a disgusting human being,
Is
and
it-
I would fucking try to find their address, pull up with a baseball bat, and break their kneecaps,
Oh, it's
and then their hands.
it's Fane.
Fuck out of here with that shit.
I thought it was
That's
gonna
disgusting.
be Hibe.
You know who is a perfect example of impressive aim? Cursed. Cursed plays
Ooh.
like super high CM. I don't remember exactly, but like he never swaps. He plays the same centimeter. He plays on a Skypad 2.0. Like
That's hilariously based.
yeah,
You got the fucking IQ meme, the fucking bell curve. I gotta use the same sense. It's like, no, you gotta change everything. And then I play on the same sense again.
Yeah. Did your score on this is nuts, Law? No, I don't even feel like my score is that crazy. Like I just feel really washed right now. I just need to keep bashing it until I get it. But yeah, no, I love his popcorn VOD on 17 CM. That was really nuts
Yeah.
to watch. I felt like it was more impressive than some of the 500 hit runs people have.
talking to Cursed is literally why I don't know if you know about it, like the super buy method of getting a Skypad 2.0. He's why I ordered a custom one. Like just
Oh
talking to the
wait,
guy.
so you bought like a manufactured sample
Yeah,
off of
think so.
Alibaba or something.
I don't know exactly how it works, but like Curse is why I'm swapping back to the 2.0 and why I'm
That's heat.
practicing on it. that type of stuff is just so impressive to me. I know I've said that over and over, but like, it's just crazy.
Mhm. I guess the other thing, I guess we can talk about like peripherals now.
Yeah.
It's really weird to see the industry where as it stands right now. I think every single mouse on the market that isn't endgame gear or a wired razor is dog shit.
I could see that.
Because nobody really brings anything to the table anymore outside of spec numbers. And since I'm not like, but I'm not doing any reviews. I buy my own shit. I'm under no representation of a brand or an org other than my own personality. Every single mouse I see getting recommended, I just say no.
Yeah, I've stuck to the same kind of rotation of mice, but I haven't really swapped in a long time. Like I've been on the OP18K since I got it in March. I think the only time I've swapped was to a G2 or yeah, G203
Mhm.
for like a few days.
I feel like we also lost the plot when it comes to peripherals, right? Because ever since like we've been undercut, market's been undercut by cheap Chinese clones. We sell for worse and worse and worse, even though they're heavier. We're currently we're starting to reach like a danger point when it comes to weight, to where it's borderline uncontrollable. Majority of players, but they have to have it. Like they have to have lower weight, otherwise they can't aim. Like you just need to get it in the ballpark of like 50 or 60 grams. Find a shape that you like, and make sure it's a solid shell with clicks that you like, and that's it. There's so many things that aren't holding you back as much as latency, as much as they feel good at the top end. You're not really gonna fucking notice. Purple, I refuse to say that you're a good person. Fuck that.
What's up, Penguin?
I'm your number one op in Discord. And also the review culture for like peripherals fucking sucks. Because everybody has a stake in it. And nobody really has no skin in the game.
Dude, I know this is gonna kind of like go off topic, but like I fucking hate peripheral reviewers. They all feel like boardsy clones, and if anyone's
Because they all are.
and if anyone's
That's the
actually
thing.
unique and talk about the specs and stuff like that, it's like that. I find that more interesting. The ones who actually do deep dives into like the specs of it and like actually tell you what the mouse does more. Like they actually know their information on it. Like I find that more cooler than the ones that are just like, "Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing this mouse or this mouse pad. I'm going to be telling you whether or not I like it." It's like, oh, the mouse felt kind of okay on Fortnite. It felt okay on the aim trainer. Probably recommend this like a 7 out of 10. It's nothing unique.
I've only used this mouse for fucking like 30 minutes, and I never really fucking sat down and actually used it. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe, use my fucking affiliate code in the link. That's totally not a fucking scam.
Feels like everyone who's doing it is just trying to hop on like the
Everybody's trying to make a buck.
It's not even a buck. It feels like they're all just trying to like dig for free peripherals. That's it. Like nothing feels unique. Like I hate to say it, man. If you're sitting at your desk and you're reviewing mouses and mouse pads, it's just like it's so lame.
The market's oversaturated. I don't need all this goddamn information. I'll just buy it myself. The thing that we need somebody like Internet Shaquille, but for like fucking peripherals. Like the whole point of him doing all this, of like reviewing all these peripherals, is to get you to go try shit, and to not just stick to one thing. Because it's good to try everything, but do so in stages. Like actually sit down and use it, and actually form an opinion about it, and then you can go change. Instead of, I'm just gonna fucking impulse buy this mouse I saw on fucking TikTok, use it for an hour, and put it down, and say,
Yep.
oh, it's alright. Like, comment, subscribe, fucking Use my affiliate code. Yada yada yada.
I think the funniest thing to me is seeing people I've never heard of who review peripherals just begging for free ones on Twitter. That's always enjoyable to see.
It's like all these peripheral reviewers outside of Viscos, because
Things
God
fine.
bless her
Doing
soul.
pretty well, Penguin. How about yourself?
Everybody is fucking dog shit at games, especially the whale.
Dude, the whale's Reddit getting leaked was so fucking funny.
Oh god, his Reddit getting leaked for fucking horny shit, bro. I mean, God forbid, I have one too, but like, I keep that shit on the down low.
What? Oh
Use Reddit
no.
for that, man.
Something. It's a
Fuck,
good place to
bro.
discover new shit.
Fuck.
Look, you already knew I was #1 gooner.
Yeah, but stooping to Reddit levels though? Fuck. Okay.
That's bad.
It's bad, but not as bad as it used to be, because I don't really even use it anymore. I had a phase with it. It was just there to find like new shit, and the algorithm was gonna push me the same bullshit over and over again, so I'd start getting even more niche with creators. Something I like, something I don't. There's a market for everything, man.
I went from my Viper Ultimate to a GPX Superlight because I saw it in Best Buy and I like the shape since it came out. That's valid, right? Plus I got it for 80 cat. Yeah, as long as you just
I mean,
use something for
that's
the
a
shape.
very correct opinion, because you went out there, you tried it, and then you form an opinion. Oh, this might be good. You went out and go. You didn't fucking go on TikTok or fucking Twitter for a review, saying, "Oh, it's gonna be good" or "It's not gonna be good." Here's the list of specs. Here's a really, really underbaked opinion that offers no nuance whatsoever compared to the last 100 reviews I've done.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta go out there and do shit.
like I finally just took the step myself to get myself an XM2 8K. Like I've only heard good things about it, and the shape. I measured my hands, and it seemed like it's gonna be like quite a decent mouse for me. Now I've been off and on of it. Like it's a smaller hump than I'm used to, but I will definitely say that I absolutely love how the mouse runs and works and everything like that. It's just that it's not too preferable to my comfort, you know what I mean? Like I prefer the hump of a G Pro more than I would like the XM2, but I still use the XM2 because it's a really nice mouse. But you know, I took the leap and the step to go out and try it. But I'm not gonna like switch off and get another mouse. Oh, thank you for Millis for the following, by the way. But it's like I took the leap for it, right? And like I tried forming my opinion whether or not I liked it. I debated myself whether I was gonna return it to Amazon or not, but I'm actually gonna keep it because I fucking love. Like I don't know if anyone else like has tried an XM2 in this chat, but like the shape of it is fucking beautiful. But it feels like dog shit with the hump being so low, in my opinion, at least.
Well, considering I'm holding one right now, and I've been using an XM2 or XM1 8K for 2 years now, before it even came out. It's a very, from what everybody tells me, it's a very polarizing shape, but I don't really understand that.
I just think it's the hump being so low, but besides that, it's pretty good. Thank you, Titan Plus, for following, by the way.
Because the other thing about it is, like, they did the sides correctly. And I don't use that word lightly. They did it correctly. Because every single mouse that I've used so far, with like whenever they do ledges, it's always rounded instead of flat. And it's really awkward to pick up at any like height of the mouse or any position of the mouse. Because it forces you to either pick it up low or pick it up high. It doesn't offer any neutrality, it doesn't offer any nuance that allows you to pick it up. A perfect shape allows you to hold it however the fuck you feel like it, instead of forcing you into one shape. And that's also why I don't recommend and usually frown upon like kit mice, like the exoskeleton ones. They're like 20 grams. You're locked into one grip and one style of aiming. And that's bad, because it limits your options. Also, is Roundtree still in this fucking like chat?
I don't know if Roundtree's here.
Can you time out Perp for telling me to end my life?
I'm doing good, making Kovacs routine for a W warm-up, then hopefully getting GM1 tonight. Hey, not too bad. Penguin, did you stop playing, Rivals?
time him out for like 10 minutes.
The changing the grip thing that you said, Buck. That's one thing that I don't see people do often. Is like they don't change grip when they need to, and like that's one thing I learned from Mickey Soul, if you know them. Was changing my grip, like for different situations, was super helpful. Like if I need more stability, I'll put my palm to the back of the mouse. If I need more precision with my fingers, I'll fingertip.
Yep. And the thing about everything is variable. You're not locked to one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I preach like changing gears to different parts of your arm, because everything can do something good. You just gotta change to it when the time is right.
Yeah, going on to that stuff, it's like for me sometimes too with my G Pro, it's like when I play Soldier, it's like if I need more like stability, I feel like precision long range, it's like I change my grip to fingertip and then I go back to like just having like, you know, palm and stuff like that. It's like I feel like that needs to be someone needs to make something about that and like actually push it out, because I feel like that's actually really good advice. Like
it was super helpful.
Damn, if only somebody wrote about that.
Yeah, I wish someone would write about it, but he's dead now.
He's dead now. God forbid. I piss on that man's grave. Fucking loser. Anyway.
I don't really play that much. Most subs feel boring to me, and good teams don't like one tricks. Yeah, that's fair. I kind of stopped playing just because I got bored of the game really fast. It's a fun game. I feel like for like the first like 30 hours, and then it just gets really boring.
I have to like it because of coaching it, but I do still really enjoy the game. I think the competitive scene has a lot to offer.
I feel like the competitive scene's gonna be really interesting though, because like they'll have like it's a Marvel ran, like it's fucking Marvel, like that's the IP behind it, right? Like the company behind it's gonna have a lot of fuck you money to go into it, so it's gonna be really interesting to see teams push the game to its limits. But I want to get back into it next season, I feel, and actually maybe grind then. I don't really like how season 0 feels right now. Doesn't really feel too rewarding to play. And I've taken upon myself to learn all the DPS, but I don't know. After queuing comp on it, it's just, I need a break, and hopefully it gets more enjoyable, but I'll have to see with time. So what type of coaching stuff do you do in that game, Sev?
I mostly did mechanic stuff at the beginning, so I did like full aim reviews for everyone before the game released. Then I call it maintenance, where they'll come to me with issues, I'll fix them. I'm like on standby. I show to scrims, and I'll give more like positioning advice and stuff to our DPS players. And then I've recently got our DPS players into LG dueling, because I feel like it's a fun way to learn just how to move.
For sure.
So,
thank you, little bastard, for following. Appreciate it.
You know, when I think about it, is there anything special about Quake movement from like neutral?
I think it punishes you pretty hard for mistakes because of the acceleration. Like, I was thinking about Overwatch originally to teach them, but Overwatch you can just get away with so much more because of Instant Excel.
Yeah.
And the Excel in Marvel Rivals is like pretty heavy, so.
Yeah, I think too. And I don't really also really like the movement, because it's exactly what you said. Like the Excel on Rivals is pretty heavy. I didn't really like that about the game, but I don't know. It was fun playing movement characters on it though. But like if I was trying to strafe on like Punisher or Hilla, I just didn't really like how that felt. But like I think with like characters with speed, it feels nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really want to get back into quick LGing as well. I play it like every once in a while, but it's so fucking fun.
It is. One of my friends is one of my very good friends plays there's this tournament called Thunderdome for Quick Live and they play in that.
Does it happen to
s-
be an OCE tournament?
No.
Okay. Thunderdome kind of set off a couple alarms in my head.
No, it's just like it's run by the community in Quake Live. And they play in that. They do pretty well. So like LGing them is like some of the best practice I've ever had. Just because they're so in tune with the movement. They have just insane mechanics naturally.
Mhm.
It's LGing is super fun.
I also love getting shit on as well on LG. Like it feels
yeah.
nice getting like absolutely destroyed and like having to think to yourself, how the fuck did I get like destroyed like that? Like I remember I was playing late night on a European server and I think you know the name, but ICU joined and he was just shitting
Oh,
on
yeah.
me. I was wondering like how the fuck do I like adapt to this, right? And, like he's giving me some pointers in chat. He's like being super nice. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can kind of adapt around this. And you know, I was able to go a little bit longer, but like he was still able to read me. Like the angles he was taking was really nice and stuff like that. And it kind of like it kind of humbled my my perspective of how good I thought I was at it. Cause like I'd beat a few randoms who'd come and go in the servers. Like I still get shit on like once in a while, but like I felt like I had it down. But like no, I realized there's a lot more into it too. Like it's especially like the ADing into like a medium strafe into like a short strafe is what I suck at. And like having to like dodge that, like when they're like taking that type of like movement and like how they're angling on me, it's really hard. So I want to get a lot more time into LGing because like I've noticed that like it's also helped me a lot on Soldier and like other stuff in Overwatch as well. It's like I know like LGing's different on Overwatch, but like just getting like movement patterns down that are like harder for people to hit, it has really benefited me.
Mhm.
So I get why
Just learning what's like difficult to aim at. Sorry for interrupting.
no, it's okay. I get why so many people preach it. Why LGing is a lot better than anything else you can really like go and learn. Also, it has some type of charm to it too, because the game's so old, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, it's like unique.
It's
Yeah.
raw as fuck.
Also, I've just been mindlessly playing this scenario. We've been just shooting the shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I've been teaching this to people, not in coaching, but like in court. But you don't try to force anything. It's gonna happen. You're just gonna let it happen. You're a victim of circumstance, but the scenario is a victim of circumstance too. But you have to be proactive in it and mindful of it. You're gonna be mindful that it's gonna happen, and that you're not gonna stress about it, but you're still gonna try. You're still trying to manifest it for yourself.
Yeah.
Just not overly so. That's the thing I told Ron about when he was grinding like Smoothbot. He was getting so cooked from this. Ah, God, do you remember that 9 hour? Was it a 9 hour stream?
It was 2. It was cut into 2. So the first was 9 hours and the second was 14.
Yeah, I gotta fucking punch that man in the gut for that.
He was really depressed though, so I don't blame him for putting as much time as he did into it.
I haven't checked in with Ron in a hot minute.
I can invite you to his server.
The thing about it is I kind of closed that chapter.
Oh yeah.
Not with Ron, but like that chord in general. I'm not really trying to go back. And I spent the entirety of my year so far not going back to anything. I spent the entirety of last year ruminating and just being stuck in a box or in a cycle or in a circle or some sort of shape and place. And I spent the entire year like trying to not do that, doing something different, get out of my comfort zone, not being afraid to try shit. It's been great. I don't want to fucking have to think back about a girl that broke my heart. Just like how Jazz did Ron. I just want to go out and do shit. Go to the racetrack, go to a LAN event, spend a Friday off of work, going to a restaurant before coming home by myself, eating good food, and just sitting there. And people say that I shouldn't let the thoughts consume my entire mind. That's not exactly true when the only thoughts in my mind are like, I'm enjoying the moment. Nobody here but me. I got nobody to go home to. I got nobody that depends on me. I don't gotta be stressed about it. And I spent my entire life stressed. College, grades, holding up a fucking reputation in a fucking name training community that fucking ate me from the inside out. And I see that happen to a lot of people here too. Like sometimes you just gotta take a step back. Like really take a step back. Because people don't really do that. You get so lost in your own like tunnel vision of what you think your life is, and then something bad happens. For better or for worse, and then it resets your perspective on everything. You start to look at everything from a bigger picture because anything that was previously restricting you is now gone. It's like shit. What now? And then you take everything you learned from before, from those previous life events, and you look at the experience of other people. Take that in. And then you go about your life knowing what you know now. Either not doing something or doing a shitload more or something. Fuck, where was I going with this?
I wish I could tell you, Buck. You're talking about how, like, you know, you're in a space, you want to get out of that space, you've been going to the racetrack, enjoying yourself, doing what you love, you know? Sounds like you're going on to talk about self-love, and also, like, not getting into the mistake of, like, having expectations be held to you.
Yeah. The worst feeling in the fucking world is holding yourself to an expectation. And usually the expectation is unrealistic. Even if you delude yourself into believing it's the bare minimum. Waking up, well, you made it. It doesn't matter if you earn the day or not, so long as you wake up and you realize that, oh, I still want to keep going. I don't know how this ends, but it's free to continue for the most part. I don't want to have to depend on somebody for like my will to live, but for some people that's usually the case. Some people only live for companionship, and that's not exactly the healthiest thing if that's the only thing keeping them alive. Like there's got to be something else that's gonna keep you going, because if that gets kicked from under you, like what now? You either realize, lock in, and change the trajectory of your life, or you kill yourself. And I want to do the former and not the latter. Like, you should not kill yourself now. You should live your life now. And that's what's up. People try to escape through aim trainers without looking at the bigger picture, and you let that fester, and it'll eat away at you alive. And then some major life event, though it might not be major, looking back, is gonna kick that all out from under you, and the thing you gotta do is react. you either gotta drop everything, make a giant trajectory course. What is it? Change in trajectory. So fucking violent that it steers you away from this, but also you might just end up in a different spot for better or for worse, but at least you didn't crash.
Just in the topic of something as well. It feels like a lot of aim training players, at least the ones who play it really actively, are trying to use it as a form of escape as well.
And that's
And-
not necessarily a bad thing too,
Well, of course not.
because
It depends on what type of escape you're trying to use it for. Like, if you're just trying to relax and do something that you're passionate about, and like, let's say you have a really like hard life where you're just like working a shit ton, and like, you know, you're using this just to escape from that like world of like, okay, I have to work a shit like hard a ton, like, okay, that's fine, right? But like, I feel like it's like really trauma-based escape that a lot of players have to. A lot of aim training players that I see use it as well.
it's not exactly the healthiest coping mechanism because it's not very active for a lifestyle. Because it's very easy to hermit and just lock yourself away into something where you're not getting a lot of physical activity, you're not getting a lot of social interaction, you're not developing as a person, you're just festering. And we know for damn sure that's one of our friends. Everybody has that one friend.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
But especially with you and me, Aiden. That one friend. And it sort of got better, but only because you got a girl. And that sort of disappointed me. Because it didn't feel like, looking from the outside in, just that behavior, it didn't really change anything. I didn't see any real attempt, any real attempt at change other than, okay, I'm gonna make a vague promise because to change. And the thing is, words are cheap. Everywhere you see it, everybody can fucking lie to your face and fucking steal your wallet from the back of you and give you back shots and all that, while saying I love you and all that. And you just gotta come to a point where you gotta cut through all this shit and like hold everybody accountable. Because you can't really hold anybody accountable over the internet unless you know them and you're within like 5 miles of like touching them, like physically.
I hate to interrupt, but I do have work tomorrow. So I will see you guys later.
Yeah, no
right.
worries. Honestly, I think it's good to call it here. I'll probably just wrap it up with Buck. Thank you, Seb, for joining. We'll do this weekly if that's cool with you. Just take Seb's gone, but Buck's still here. I let Buck go on a tangent while I was gone, and I had to do some stuff outside. Yeah, I think he entertained everybody quite well.
I'm a little afraid for when you're gonna go back into the VOD. When are we hanging out? Do you want to pull up like right now to the stream?
I don't think she's in the server anymore.
Oh shit.
Wait, dude, why is my cursor like? What is it, like disabling my cursor on this game? Wait, let me see something. Hello? Okay. I just can't see my cursor at all. Like, bro, where is my cursor? Huh?
I was about to go on a tangent about Maddie, but I got no passion in me right now.
You can see my cursor? Weird.
Yeah. So 125 is gonna roll around in like 3 days, and apparently women are supposed to have more sex with robots than men. I wonder how that statistic's gonna pan out.
Sex robots have been on the market since 2012.
Yeah, I own one.
What?
Yeah, that's something I never told you, did I?
So it like, what's your sex robot look like?
Asian woman. Fat titties. It's great, honestly. Like, I didn't want to fill the void. I need to fill like a void. Like, I'm afraid of talking or holding a
Yeah, I'll check
relationship.
DM soon.
Like, I'm afraid of holding a relationship because I don't want to fuck it up, and I know that's a fragile thing. Not because I could fuck it up or they won't like me, it's because they could die. And that's something I witnessed in real time, very viscerally. And I didn't want to go through that, and I still don't want to go through that. But I'm still a horny bastard. So, I fucked this giant blob of silicon that's in my bed. And I consider my case fixed.
Like, how much did your sex robot cost you though? Like, I need to ask the serious questions.
If you need like context, I can give you like the full breakdown.
Wait, so
because
did you build it?
Well, okay. You can build it, but it's like a custom order thing. Certain
Okay.
brands, certain body archetypes, certain identities, either cosplay or certain body types, and all that. There's some pretty freaky shit I've seen, and I tend to stay away from that. But like, a decent one would be like $1,800. It's about like the sex robots and like the replacement for love because you're too afraid to try anymore.
Now, does the sex robot do a better job than a real woman, or?
I've never had a real woman, and I don't plan on it. Because most of my life is manufactured as is. Like, my interaction with people is pretty manufactured because it's all on the internet, right? Even though there's real people behind it, I can't really. It's not the same as a face-to-face. You're sitting on the couch with your boy at TwitchCon, at an Airbnb on the front, on a fucking like a beachfront property with like 7 other dudes, like rolling deep. Yeah, the beauty in love is trying again, but that's only for people that want to try that. Sometimes one is enough and one is done. And that's me. I don't feel like trying anymore. I might get the bug, but then I tell myself it wasn't really worth it. You gotta fucking balance it. Godspeed to anybody that still tries. I'm just not one of them. Relationship so bad, you turned asexual, Ray romantic. That shit was me.
Okay,
Like I already had relationship trauma before a relationship. Yeah, that too, but it's okay if I close that door. I can't miss something I never had.
From my perspective, you're probably one of the most interesting people I've ever met online. You speak from the heart. You give very unbiased views. You speak your mind, and it's hard to come by people who will speak their mind and stay true to themselves. It's also really interesting to hear you just like go on talks, hear you in your little philosophical speeches. 'Cause I feel like deep down you say the stuff that people want to say out loud, but they don't. Like, I'd kill to own a sex robot for myself, but you know, I'll never admit to it.
That's why you go to college, man. I mean, I did because, well, hang on. Let's take a step before that. I went to college because I wanted a fucking R32 Skyline GTR from Japan. It's important. And that dream fell away fast when I actually got a job. So now I bought some titties on the internet. And life's good. No, fuck you. You don't get to have any purple. You are a minor. Anyway, that's life, man.